What's up, everyone? This is episode 23. Welcome to episode 23. Can't believe we've reached 23 of my journey building my own AI native search platform, search startup. I'm building a baby Google, a baby Perplexity from scratch as a one-person company. I have no funding and I'm having the time of my life. I just love every moment of it. And I do these sessions to kind of just share how I'm building it. And today I'm going to talk about personalization. This is actually part 3 of personalization. I've done 2 others parts in the past. But today's the first time I'm actually showing some code, which is amazing. We've reached this far and I've not shown any code. I've shown some diagrams. But I want to talk about personalization today in a very sort of free form way. I have no script. And I'll walk you through the code, some snippets. I think this is the latest diff. But I'll walk you through the code very soon. But talk about personalization and how I think about it. Um, this is how I think about it. If I am talking with any AI application, I'd like it to know who I am, but in a non-creepy way, in a very transparent way. And I'd like to clear everything it knows about me in an instant, like that. The minute I find out, like, oh my God, this is weird, I want to clear myself and go clean slate. And third thing, and this is the most important for me, I should be able to control it, what the AI application knows about me. Oh, it knows I'm a startup founder. Okay, that's okay. Oh, it knows I like boxer shorts. Kind of weird, creepy. Yeah, I delete that. Don't remember this. So I want to be in control. I want full transparency. And in a non-creepy way, I'd like it to know who I am and develop a trust relationship over time. And once I have trust, I may share more. But I want that control. That's how I see personalization, those 3 points. Be non-creep, don't be creepy. Be very transparent and give full control to the user, complete control to the user. And delete means delete. Delete doesn't mean, I remember I used to work for Google and Amazon, all these big companies, and I'm not saying any of them did bad, anything sort of shady, but it was a big deal to get privacy right, to get something like a GDPR project right. I remember like at Amazon, I was trying to get GDPR through the organization. I was kind of in charge of the entire org's privacy efforts. And it was like always deprioritized. Like, yeah, no, pass. I'll do it at the end. I'll do it at the end. That's how people thought about it at Amazon. Um, I think that's very wrong precedent to like how you think about the user. You can't be a user-centric company if you treat privacy like that and you treat feature work first. But such goes big corp. So you have to think about it from the ground up. When you're designing the system is when you have to think of privacy. Why? Because it becomes the implementation of these privacy controls and operations becomes so much easier. And more often than not, people find later in the stage, oh, we have to support delete and all delete data throughout the chain across all database tables, all or data stores. Oh my God. And it's a big operation. Then there's some gaps and other systems break because we deleted something and they didn't know. And so, and also then you have to scrub. So you delete just the ID, the user identification piece, and then keep it anonymous. And that's actually okay, that privacy experts think if you're not anonymized, but you kind of have to do it in such a way that you can't trace. And I'm of the opinion, don't even anonymize it unless you have to. If the user says delete, delete it, man. Delete it. I mean, it's like Reddit. You browse Reddit and so many, in my case, like half of the posts or 30% of the posts are, it says user deleted, but all the content is there. And I always find it weird. Like, hey, I deleted my user. Like, why are you showing stuff I posted? Yes, you can trace it back to me, but if I posted something that had my name or some identity, some smart ass may be able to sort of connect the dots and get to me. Very strange. So all the things I don't want to do. But that's how I think about privacy. Be non-creepy, be extremely transparent, and give user complete control. Um, Another thing I'll say is, um, it's just, keep always in mind that privacy is governed by the local authorities and the local government and the state government, right? Uh, and then that's fine if there is abuse and the authorities need help. With reasonable data proof. But as a user, you have to kind of keep that in mind, even with GDPR, depending on which country you live in, which state you're in. There are different sort of privacy laws. Um, but for the most part, I think companies that put privacy first, like someone like me who has worked in the space, so I understand privacy, and also myself, I'm a very private first person. You won't find a whole lot about me other than now I'm trying to do all this social media stuff. Um, and I like it that way. So that's the basis. That's how I define personalization in AI apps. Don't be creepy. Be very transparent. If you save something about me, let me know you saved something about me. Uh, and give me full control. And when I say delete, delete, man. Delete. Don't anonymize. Delete. And some things maybe you want to anonymize or whatever. Maybe there are some reasons, but like delete, man. It's not that hard. So very simple, right? Okay, so that's how I think about privacy and personalization. They go hand in hand, hand in hand. Privacy, personalization. You can't separate them. And you also have to design it from the ground up. So I'm building a search platform, but I'm thinking about privacy and personalization as a ground level system, design system, like ground level design, a system that's well designed and everything's built on top, not a sort of roof level system you put at the top and then like, oh, expect everything else to work. That is very tricky. Now, um, let me talk about how I manage those three sort of criterias of how I define personalization in AI startups. So let's start with non-creepy. One is this is how I tackle non-creepy. If anything if any of your personal memories or sort of information is used to personalize, I'm making sure that data is highlighted. So if this response is personalized, what memories of yours were used to personalize very clearly? I think it's great. I don't know why everyone doesn't do it. I'm not even that smart, and it's like obvious to me. I'm not a PhD researcher earning $20 million. I'm a startup founder. I love doing what I do. I think common sense, and it's so obvious to me. Like, show me what you used to personalize, and give me controls. Like, if I see something that you used to personalize, and I don't want you to know that, I should be able to click and delete that or edit that. Very simple. It's not too much to ask. You got to respect your users. Very simple. So that's one thing I'm doing. I don't know any app that does this. Maybe there are some apps that do this. I don't know any. So that's sort of non-creepy. It's very clear. Second thing is be very transparent. So that kind of follows kind of what I already mentioned, kind of showing what's used for personalization, but also transparent. The way I'm approaching it is in your user profile, you should be able to see everything we've saved about you. And you should be able to delete it, edit it very easily. We don't make it complicated. It's kind of like Amazon cart. Have you tried moving items in the Amazon cart to save later? You have to do it one at a time. Or have you have tried deleting 50 items that you've added to the cart? You have to do one at a time. So it has to be intentional. They make it so hard. They don't want you to delete very easily items from your cart. Don't be, I mean, just kind of $1 trillion companies behaving like that. Sad, really sad. That's why we need small companies. This is when small companies like me, tiny companies like me, can come in and show people common sense, and then have some kind of a little bit of a movement to kind of push the big companies to do it. I think that's one of the big goals of what I'm doing, and I think it's very important. Um, so that's another thing. Go to settings, see everything you know. And then the third thing is control, right? Don't be creepy, be very transparent, full control. I've already shared about control. You should be able to delete. You should be able to delete all my memories. If I delete my account, all memories are deleted. Delete. Don't anonymize. It's kind of creepy, weird. Don't do what Reddit does. I mean, there are cases where you may have to do it, like you're collecting data for training a model, and it's kind of very difficult to go, and it's like super anonymous. I don't know. It all depends. There are lots of if and buts and else, but as a rule of thumb, I'll say as a founder, this is why, by the way, I'm starting my own company. If I start saying things like this at Google, I'll get my ass kicked. Like, go home. That's probably why I didn't survive. I'm not saying they do shady things. I'm not putting blame or anything, but I just don't get that freedom to think about and share. I didn't get it at Google or Amazon. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how I'm thinking of personalization. I want to talk a little bit about the code I'm sharing, um, just to kind of make it a little more real, right? So I have something called a handler. This is all, by the way, this is the diff app. Because I think I just want to highlight what I just worked on and not show the full code. That's just useless. And most code's written by AI anyways. It's kind of useless. But this highlights this current. I think I worked on this morning, last night and this morning, and this highlights kind of gives a good preview this particular sort of commit. So here I am sort of recording um, and this is, by the way, everything here is about memory, and a memory is defined by something about a user, and say something about me that an AI application like my AI search app records. Anything I record, so say I don't like horror movies that have a lot of gore. That's a memory, and I want to save that. And one of the things I was doing this morning was recording entities. So a line like, I don't like horror movies that have a lot of gore. Maybe there is no entity, but if I say um, I don't like movies about sharks. Shark could be an entity, right? And what I'm trying to do is I'm kind of saving the primary entity, but I could have more than one entity, or the user could have mentioned more than one things, more than one entities, and so I'm also recording that. This sort of not really needed, but I like it because it kind of adds more color when you need it. So that's what this shows. Like, we're recording it. The handler sort of is responsible to dispatch the memory action. In this case, saves it in the database or updates it, and updates some of the LLM sort of um, summary about the user. Then is sort of the extractor. This is pretty cool. And this is where I extract using an LLM. I think that's the best way. In the past, I've done this in other ways, a lot of sort of dedicated ML apps. But here I'm saying I want to extract the entity subject. So here, it's like just prompt engineering. Oops, I'll just leave it this way. And it's just prompt engineering that, and identify the primary and secondary entities in each fact, blah, 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 blah. So here's some example. This is what I actually wanted to go through. User hates horror movies. Entity subject is horror. Actually, horror can be an entity. Yeah, sorry, didn't catch that earlier. Yes, yeah, entity. Horror is an entity. User love Dune, so Dune's the entity. Again, this is a primary subject. This is why I wanted to record the primary entity subject and uh, secondary entity subjects, because if there are more than one. And I think there's an example here. User loves Dennis Villeneuve films. So here, sorry, I need to do a better system. Sorry about that. I should be moving this. Um, and so here the entity subject Dennis Villeneuve. Villanova. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. Um, and then this is what I wanted to highlight. Yeah, secondary entities. User loved Dune by Villanova. So entity subject is Dune, so users loving Dune, but the entity mention is Dennis. So this is what I was talking about. Again, it's not really needed, but I like saving it. This adds more information, useful. And then you can search for mentions for some other reasons, other use cases. Again, this all should be very transparent. Should be able to users should be able to show and delete it. So this is the extractor. And then there's something called the memory store where I store it. It's just a database. It's SQL database. I just use SQL database. I'm on Google Cloud infrastructure right now. Um, I used to work for Google. I'm kind of familiar with some Google tech, and I'm using Google Cloud infrastructure. I'm hoping they'll give me some credits right now because I have no funding. I have no credits. All these people I know, they have $1 million to hundreds of $1 million in funding and like free startup credits. And here I am, solo guy, no income. I have no credit. I pay by my pocket from my credit card. Yeah. So anyway, this is just you save it in a database. These are all columns. You can read it, delete it. And then there's the user context. So once you have everything for when you are constructing a prompt in my AI search app, I construct a prompt for various reasons, like, hey, summarize everything we found on the web with APIs or different search results. And I use third-party search API right now. I haven't built my own index, but it's something I want to do down the road. Be more independent, or at least supplement what third-party APIs are, because you can't rely on third-party. I used to rely on Google custom search, and like many things Google, they shut it down. Like January 2027, API shut down. So if you built a business around Google APIs, your business is done. You're done. You're dead because Google shut it down. So you can't rely. So eventually, yeah. And the other thing is some of the search APIs I'm relying on, maybe they'll get acquired by Google or big companies. There is no monopoly laws are very gray area, and they'll um, acquire these smaller search startups and shut down their APIs. And I was dependent on that API, and I'm screwed. So thankfully, there's Perplexity, and Perplexity has the API, and somewhat they're reliable. They're not. I don't think they have. Their game plan is to just sell out. It seems to me that they want to go IPO clearly, and they want to be the next $1 trillion company. I hope they be. I mean, if that's their ambition, I don't. That's not my ambition. It's silly to me to have an ambition to become a $1 trillion company. That just puts too much. That just tells so much about a person or a company. But I think they have the potential. They're a great company. I use their product. My pro subscription ended, and I don't know if I'm kind of, because I pay everything by my pocket and I have no income. $20 also seems a lot to me right now a month. So I haven't renewed it, but I may renew it soon because it's a good product. So that's user context, and I embed everything. So here you see user dislikes horror, blah 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 because of the prompt. I think, why is it an example? I'm sorry, hold on. Format for prompt. Oh, I see. This is just like format this way. I'm sorry. These are not real memories. This is just like, oh, use this kind of style. And then and every entity has a subject. So it kind of, this is how we format. So if you have remembered 10 memories about, you say, we know you like Disneyland in Anaheim. And so it will be formatted this way. User already, or user likes going to Disneyland, something like in this kind of format is what it'll save. Where there's a mention of primary entity and secondary entity. Um, and we also record balance and reason because that's kind of useful. This comes from research on archive. So one of the things I'm always doing is anything I'm deciding, I'm also searching on archive to make sure what is the latest research. And some of the latest research shows that when you store these memories, it's good to store the balance, which is like an indicator of how strong it is. And it goes from -1 to +1, and you could go all the way. And if you want neutral balance, then you can just do 0. And then you give a reason, so it kind of adds more color. So here, dislikes horror movies, but if you just say user dislikes horror movies or horror, that's good enough. But if you say because of gore, that just adds more descriptive information, more color. Um, so this is how I format it. And then these are just like migration files. So just kind of because this is just something new that I've worked on. And so I'm just altering and adding. Um, I think in this case, I added entity mentions before I only had entity subjects. So yeah, and then I have a test file to test everything. Um, yeah, so, after a successful test, make sure all columns are there and everything's there, the facts, everything we're looking for, like the horror genres and things like that. So there's a test file. And then I think there's a test file for the user context as well. So a memory fact, this is ID, user love Dune, constraint, consume, blah, 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 entity valence points on, and test it out. So this is kind of boring stuff. But yeah, I think that's what I wanted to show today. Some code of how this is just a personalization layer that I'm building for my AI search. So that if you search for something like movies or something you want to do or some looking for ideas, we use this sort of memory information that we've stored. I've stored. It's just me right now to personalize and hopefully give you a better response. This is nothing new. Just about every AI app does it. In fact, there are a lot of memory startups that you can just use their service. I don't like doing that because, again, same idea. These startups get acquired by bigger companies and the product gets shut down. All the startup founders become billionaires and live happily ever after. And what happens to people like me? Besides, I want a lot of control. This to me is very important. I don't want to just rely on a black box service that does amazing and has latency and all these other things. I mean, look how far I've gotten. And this works, like I've tested and everything. It may not be the most sophisticated, but it's pretty good. And if I want to improve something, I just go on archive, see what's the latest research, and then see if I can improve this system. So it gives me so much control. And honestly, this is the kind of style I would recommend to others who want to build their own startup. It's good to use their services. This is why I don't like investors. I say this over and over. Use services. Don't. This is not your mode. This is not criteria. Why are you building? Go quick to market. Yeah. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. Because the goal of investor is to 10x their money and add another unicorn in their portfolio. But the goal of you as a founder is to express yourself and build something that has longevity. I'm not saying build everything yourself, but be selective. Like this is something that I think was a right decision for me to not use third-party API. Some other things, obviously, I'm using APIs. I'm not building my own LLMs or I'm not building my own database or cache or caching database or caching like I guess I have a caching service, but not the database. And so many things I'm not building. The framework to kind of agentic framework to build this thing. I'm not building all of that. But this was something I felt strongly about. But I'm guaranteed if I had investor, they would call me like stupid. How many days you spent on this? And I actually didn't spend too much time, but 10 days, you could have launched this 10 days sooner. Without this, anyways. Hopefully this was interesting. I do this, by the way. One of the reasons I do this is for my future self. I don't know if anyone will watch it, but I think it'll be fun for me to go like a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now and watch these videos. So I'm honestly doing it just for myself. But thanks, someone watched this, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.